Welcome back. You are tuned in to Salam Media with myself, Salailo Makwidire, and our next conversation is going to be an interesting one, considering the extraordinary circumstances that the interview is going to be having in. I think in the last few months, it has been quite difficult to locate people that are in Palestine, people that are in the Gaza Strip, people that are directly connected and affected by this ongoing genocide that is so largely reported on, and this is largely attributed, to the blockade that the Israeli occupying forces have enforced, the cutting down of electricity, the shutting down of the internet, and all other means that are out there for the people of Palestine to try and, connect with the rest of the world and to be able to tell their stories. They're basically blinding the people of Palestine to the world. And in a bit, we'll be joined by Abubaker Abed. He's a journalist who's joining us from the Gaza Strip. We hope that this conversation with him will help us intensify the global consciousness about the reality of the situation on the ground, and the challenges that the people of Palestine, the lived real challenges that the people of Palestine are going through. Brother Abubaker is joining us via our virtual platform. Connection might not be that great, but we'll make do with what we have. Assalamu alaikum, Abubaker. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much for having me. It's my honor and privilege to talk to you. And as you can hear in the background, the sound of the Adhan is one of the resilience shapes in Gaza at the moment, that people still here are performing their prayers at the wreckage of their mosques and of worshiping places, and they're still raising the Adhan and the calls for the prayers. So this is one of the most important and beautiful shapes of resilience that are still sticking to amid this genocide. So once again, thank you so much for having me.
No, I think pleasure is all ours, and I think it's all praises to God that even very difficult circumstances, you still have the Azan playing in the background. Just a reminder that you guys are going through your lives, and that the steadfastness of the people of Palestine still remains. But before we move any further, where are you currently right now?
I'm currently in Central Gaza. I'm currently in Central.
And how did you get there? What was the circumstances that led you, to be there? Where have you always been there? Just take us through, your journey since the infamous October the 7th. Yeah.
No, I originally live here in Central Gaza. There's nothing. So alhamdulillah, I've stayed in the same place where I am. So I originally live in Gaza. So there has, alhamdulillah, I haven't been displaced yet. And I hope that there will no be forced displacement upon me and my family, because the seeing lives in tents and in unprotected shelters, it's really heartbreaking. It's really unbearable. So I'm just glad and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything we have at the moment, despite other circumstances.
No, I think I think that's one thing. I think you have the pleasure of a lot of people we're reading on the news, seeing articles that they had to move, their lives completely obliterated. But when it comes to you, how has your life changed? How has this ongoing genocide impacted you and your family's lives? And just generally how you went about your daily, lives and routines. I'm sure it has been devastating in a lot of aspects.
Absolutely, you're right. And first of all, I'm a student and I haven't completed my education, so I should have graduated this year. But the genocide deprived me of completing my education. At the same time, our life is very much restricted, that you cannot move outside to see your uncles and see your family because of the continuous bombing and the relentless attacks unfolding in the territory. In addition, we have lots of things, like we have been mentally exhausted because of the relentless attacks and the bombardment that have been happening. Like, for example, the photo you're showing, which was
Mm,
during the incursion in Deir al-Balah, that the photo shows the eastern parts of Deir al-Balah that have been relentlessly attacked and heavily attacked over the past few weeks, when Israeli forces or Israeli troops entered and invaded the eastern outskirts of Deir al-Balah. So we were living through constant terror and unbearable and sheer horror at the same time, which is something that we cannot really bear, because it's been more than 11 months of the genocide. We're approaching the year, and this is one of the photos of the Khadija Gaza school massacre that happened in July, on the 27th of July, where 40 people were killed and more than 100 people were maimed. And yes, I live next to this place, and the scenes there were absolutely terrifying. Therefore, our lives have been, paralyzed. There's absolutely nothing I can say. Just like that, we dream of having a good life. Like, for example, we have been starved, and we have been, we barely can get access to water, to food, and other stuff. Life here is too expensive. Bombings continue. This square that is being shown at the moment was also attacked 3 days ago by a missile. Uh, Therefore, lots of squares and lots of neighborhoods in Derbala have been wiped out, despite it being not entered or invaded at full
mm.
scale by Israeli forces. So, that it's not alive, because even like winter is coming, and you know people in tents will not be protected. So how can it be alive? It's just incredibly heartbreaking to look at it, because you might be killed at any second, you might be
Mm,
wounded at any second also.
mm. And
Consequently, it's a lot of pain.
mm. No, I can only try and imagine just how difficult it is. You mentioned something really really important. Not knowing when a bomb or a strike might hit where you are. Just psychologically, what does that do to you? Not knowing that at any point you might find yourself under the rubble. I'm sure it must be excruciating just psychologically, because you're literally a sitting duck waiting for anything to fall upon you.
Absolutely, yes. It's as I'm telling you, it's constant trauma. It's absolutely constant trauma. It's unbearable. It's unimaginable, as you said, and that you're hoping and you're praying, especially during the night hours, because drones and warplanes constantly and incessantly hover over us in the sky, which means that it's going to target a place, and this place, you don't know where it is. It might be you, it might be other places around you. And as a young man, living through all such terror is absolutely so much. You know, it's not been, because this is something very important that the audience should be aware of, which is this is not the very first time I'm living through this genocidal war. There have been 5 wars before across the past years. So my entire life is just about wars. It's just about escalations. It's just
All right, we seem to have lost Abubakar there, and I think, as I mentioned before the start of the interview, is the fact that the connection is really, really bad, as you might expect. Considering obviously the circumstances that we find ourselves in. But when he comes back, I really want to touch on this tweet. I think that's the reason why we actually reached out to him. And on this tweet, essentially, he says, what a massive explosion. I can't breathe. I can't stand on my feet. May Allah be with us. It's midnight and I can't bear it. And it's so difficult to just fathom, just psychologically, how difficult it can be, for the people out in the Gaza Strip and in Palestine, just living in that constant fear of not knowing when you might be next. Sometimes the missile and all the bombs dropped by the different drones misses you and hits your neighbor. And as night falls, you're not sure if you might be the next one that might be affected by it. Places that are so familiar to you, places that you used to frequent, whether it's the market or whether it's school, university that you used to go to, the park that you used to go to, anything and everything that used to make up part of what you considered normal, no longer being there. Okay, imagine that, you South African, the places that you go for leisure, the friends that you used to go to visit, and all of a sudden, 90% of what you considered home for your whole life, although it was home in very, very difficult circumstances, but it was still home. But all of a sudden, with a snap of a finger, it's not there anymore, and you try and have to figure yourself out on how you're going to be surviving literally an ongoing genocide. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll try and get Abubaker back, because I have so many questions for him, and I think these are important questions that all of us need to know, so that we continue to conscientize ourselves and to deeply understand, not just on a surface level, where we just get stats, we just get numbers, and we forget that there are actual human beings behind those. So as soon as we get him back, we'll continue with the interview, and hopefully the connection will be a bit better after that. Welcome back. Still tuned into Salam Media, the show's news and views. And we're still struggling a lot with connection, but we seem to have Abubaker Abed back. Brother Abubaker, can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum.
Perfect. I can hear you loud and clear. So I think we're just going to cut the interview. We'll just mush it up. All the places where we lost you, we'll just cut them and we'll post a full set of thing. But then I want to come to this tweet. I think this is one of the reasons why we actually reached out to you. This tweet that's on screen right now. If I can just read it out for on-air audiences. You're saying a massive explosion. I can't breathe. I can't stand on my feet. May Allah be with us. It's midnight and I can't bear it. And I think this tweet gained so much traction because I think it encapsulates literally what a lot of people in Gaza and in Palestine are currently going through right now. If you can just take us through this moment. What was happening? Why were you so seemingly defeated?
No, surely. Like, provided Allah is with us, we're not defeated, absolutely. But I mean, it was like midnight, and during the night hours here, we're not, there are no lights, there are no people outside because it's war, and warplanes are hovering in the sky. Drones, civilians and drones are also present in the sky, which means that you can hear everything. And like suddenly, on that day, as I vividly remember, just a ferocious and a massive explosion occurred around us. So everyone panicked to see where that hit. And honestly, every word I wrote in this tweet, I really meant it, because I honestly, like, my heart raced at that time, and I really like my legs were shaking, because it was a very, very big explosion. It was massive. It was, unimaginable. And yes, that's why when I wrote that one, and it is happening similarly, and even you can hear right now warplanes are hovering in the sky. The sounds of the hovering are very clear in the background. That's why it's, as I told you, it's constant trauma, and it happens every single day. It happens every maybe every single minute, and you can't understand. Your fate remains mysterious. So yes, it's just unbearable.
Mm, mm, mm. You work as a journalist, and I think in your most recent work, you know, I've been reading some of the articles online. You capture the human toll of this conflict. What are some of the personal stories have you encountered or have you struck that you feel like are going to stay with you for the longest of times because of just how sheer devastating they were and the mark that they have left on you?
I think one of the best stories I wrote about was for an amputated young man of my generation. He was going to, visit his friend who was wounded during the war at Al-Aqsa Hospital in the at Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah. On his way, a bombing happened, and he rushed to help people and rescue people from under the rubble. But when he went, the same building was struck again, was hit again by other missiles, and he was injured, and his right leg was amputated, and he's still stuck and receiving treatment at the hospital. Uh, he just told me that I feel pain, that people look at me with a kind of with some sort of compassion and some sort of sympathy, because this is not the way I look. I was before the war a very sound person. I had my legs, I had everything, I had my hands, and I was well. I was very, very well. But unfortunately, life changed now. So whenever some like a child passes by me at the hospital while being on bed, he said to me that these words, and he said that, like, see, his leg is amputated. He feels so much pain. And in fact, the war in Gaza has created a generation of amputees. Wherever you are in Gaza, in the streets, in the open markets, in specific areas or certain areas or neighborhoods, you will see surely at least two, three people amputated, and mostly they are children. That is a symptom of Israel's genocidal war on Gaza. That is a symptom of the US-backed genocide by Israel in Gaza. And this is a story of Riyadh Hussein, who is 23 years old, and his leg was amputated and is still receiving treatment at the hospital. Really, really struck me because he lost his home, he lost his work, he lost his fields of vegetables and fruit, and he was full of life. His life was truly amazing for October the 7th. But
Mm,
despite the good thing and the resiliency and the steadfastness and the hope we can see in our people, is that despite all this happening to him, and despite all the atrocities and the trauma he's going through, he met me with a smile, he left me with a smile, and he still smiles. He doesn't care about this dunya. He has such faith in his heart. He has such faith that things will get better, and he hopes and prays every single day for an end to this war. I met him like such probably 2 months or 3 months ago, but he's still now smiling and hoping that this war will end, and always says Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah.
mm,
That can really sum it up.
mm, mm.
One, or visit www.yasinbadat.com. Yasin Badat Financial Advisory, guiding you to financial success.
Our brothers and sisters in Palestine are enduring unimaginable hardships. Ashraful Aid teams are on the ground, delivering crucial aid to those in need. But we can't do it alone. Palestine is suffering and they need your help. Your support can make a world of difference. Visit www.ashrafulaid.org today and donate to bring hope, relief, and healing to those who are in need.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al-Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al-Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities, conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities. Your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al-Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
No, really heartwarming stuff there. And I want to touch on that, just the general population of Gaza right now. I mean, it's almost a year since the 7th of October. What's the general mood like? What's the feeling like? Because, from where I am, I'm certain that it would start to feel like the world is starting to forget. The world is starting to feel desensitized, and people are moving on with their lives while the people of Gaza are genuinely surviving a genocide each and every day. If you can just unpack the mood and the feeling amongst the people of Gaza and their state of mind right now.
Honestly, this is a very good question, by the way. And we understand that, yes, there are many people who have forgotten about Palestine, forgotten about people in Gaza going through all such hell and such terror. But at the same time, we still know and understand, we still have hope that there are many and thousands of people caring and care about us and still protesting, divesting, and boycotting just for us, because they know they have a humanity, they have a high sense of humanity towards us, regardless of their religions, what their religions are. And we are still, honestly, that the war has taken or has lasted 11 months and it is still continuing, is dashing our hopes. However, we are still hopeful that this will end. We still have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this will end. This is what Allah promised us. This is what Allah promised Muslims. And we understand that this human world, there is nothing, hardship cannot last forever. It will end. Life is about hardships and moments of happiness, moments of sadness and moments of happiness. So we understand.
Welcome back. Still tuned in to Salam Media, and I'm still in conversation with Abubaker Abed, who's coming to us live from the Gaza Strip. Abubaker, welcome. Thank you so much for staying online, even in very, very difficult connectivity and circumstances. Can you hear me? Can you see me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. I think before we lost you there, I think we were still talking about just the general feeling and the mood in Gaza, and just the people generally, how they feeling, almost a year into this genocide essentially by the Israeli occupying forces. What are people feeling like? What's the word on the streets? What are people saying regarding this? Do they feel like there's an end in sight,
as I told
and
you.
something will happen?
Yeah, as I told you, they are somehow hopeful but at the same time, they have just had enough because they are displaced, traumatized, and brutalized by the ongoing war. They don't have any means of life. It's not, you know, it's like a full dimension war. It's a full scale war. It's not about even the bombings and the Israeli warplanes and tanks or navy. No, it's also about other things that they have lost their work, they have lost their houses, and they have lost everything. Many people, many families, entire families have been wiped out. Many people, I personally talking, I lost my very dearest friend in an Israeli attack. I lost my entire aunt's family. Therefore, what I mean is that people, this is just an endless trauma and they want to heal up from it. They want to, and the first step to heal up from this trauma is an end to this genocide. They are hopeful and they are calling on the entire human world to protest and do their best, act and try to pressure their governments to do something for Palestine, because we know the UK is complicit in the genocide, the US is complicit in the genocide. Almost every European country is complicit in the genocide. And regarding South Africa, if we go out and hear from people about South Africa, they love South Africa because it was the first country to stand with Palestine and be in the ICJ to to charge Israel and to put sanctions on Israel and this genocide. So any means of support during this very harsh and unbearable time means the world to us, because we are absolutely broken from our insides and from our outsides. We can't bear it anymore, but our faith remains stable. Our hope, we still have a lot of hope. We still seek out hope and seek out hope by everything around us, even amid all this destruction and barbarity. We still believe that this is going to end. So there is hope, but this hope is just fluctuating. It's getting dashed from a time to another when Netanyahu rejects all the proposals for a ceasefire, and when the United States renews its arms sales to Israel and to the Tel Aviv government to kill more Palestinian children, women, and innocent people. However, we are very determined that we want to resist. We want to continue existing in this land because it's ours. We want to see free Palestine because we've been occupied, we have been besieged, we have been traumatized, we have been tortured, and we've borne everything. And particularly children have borne the brunt of the suffering. They are the worst sufferers of this war. So it's enough. I can no longer, speaking about myself, I can no longer see a child walking kilometers for a gallon of water, for a bottle of water. That is absolutely insane. It's enough. If there is really a human word, this war on Gaza should have really ended from its first week. Look at the massacres that have been happening. Tens and dozens of massacres, starting with the Al-Ahli hospital in Gaza, when around 100 people were killed. Here in Deir al-Balah, Khadija Gaza School massacre, I saw my neighbor baby decapitated. I saw my neighbors' bodies pierced by shrapnel and debris. I saw many, horrendous and unbearable and endurable things in my life. It's enough. I wasn't even able to see my very dearest friend whom I lost last December because his body was just shredded off. This is lots of insanity, lots of brutality that must stop at the moment. So I don't know what to say. This must stop immediately. We are blaming and condemning and decrying the acts and the cowardly acts by the Arab leaders who are still silent, and silence means complicity. they are liable for everything that is happening in Gaza. Where is Islam if they are real Muslims? Where is Islam when you see your brothers and sisters being killed, tortured, and haunted, and every sort of torture they are being subjected to, and every sort of violence, and you are turning a blind eye to that? We are also blaming we are also blaming the word that 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 pretends to be human, but unfortunately hasn't done anything. Look, the Gaza Health Ministry yesterday released all the pages and the names of people killed in Gaza. Around 40,000 people have been killed, apart from the 10,000 who are still under the rubble. The first 14 pages are people under 1 year old. Can you imagine? It's absolutely out of this world. It's unimaginable. This monsterness has to stop. At the same time, simultaneously, I don't know, but look, my neighbor woman is pregnant in her 9th month. She doesn't have food. She only has 1 meal per day, which is some stale bread. Some stale bread for a pregnant woman. How on earth can she really live through such an incredibly bad life? It's unimaginable. There are no words to describe the ongoing genocide. Every day when you go home, when you go to your bed, to sleep, you cannot sleep. Drones are over you. They might attack you at any point. And the ideas that come constantly, and the non-stop the ideas that come non-stop to you are haunting, are very traumatizing. Look, I'm just like in a trice, I will be bombed, I will be shredded off to pieces. People are gathering together, families are gathering in one place to make sure that no one would survive and grieve the loss of another. Families here hope and pray to be killed all. No one would stay, no one to stay, and grieve all such incredible loss. What else? Personally speaking, I'm a Muslim. I haven't been able to pray any prayers at the masjid because of the fear and the panic I have in my heart when I go outside. I don't go outside my home. Even my home is not safe. Even everywhere in Gaza is unsafe. It's targeted. And you can imagine the barbarity in a different aspect, which is that, there are places that have been warned by Israeli forces, but they haven't bombed them yet. So if you want to go beside, if you want to be walk beside that place, it might be targeted while you are walking beside it, and then you will be killed. Therefore, or as a result of this insane barbarity, you cannot get access to some hospitals, on-ground hospitals. They are newly equipped hospitals, or to some food aid delivery, food aid delivery organizations or other places. I mean, it's indescribable. Our agony is absolutely indescribable. And I want people to understand that if you are sick or tired of continuing to support Palestine, support us, then think about us who are under such genocide, who are living through such a genocide, who are being exterminated, who are being, who are being tortured mentally and physically and everywhere. As I'm telling you, there is a full generation of amputees right now. That includes women, children, men, in every category of the community. People don't have access to water. They have a lot of skin diseases. They have contracted lots of diseases, including gastroenteritis, skin rash, and many other diseases like hepatitis A virus. But they don't have medications. Israelis are blocking the medications from entering the strip. Israel is blocking cleaning materials so people can easily contract skin diseases. Israel blocks everything, food and everything. And another aspect of this harsh, hellish, nightmarish life is that prices here are unimaginable. We are paying $100 for 1 kilo of meat, as I told you before. We are paying like around $35 for one bottle of shampoo. We are paying $30 for 1 kilo of okra. We are paying $10 for 1 kilo of tomatoes. We are paying unimaginable prices to fight for our existence. We barely can afford to exist in this life. A lot of people, more than 80% of this population, have lost their work, and they are now mainly dependent on canned food and food aid coming from humanitarian organizations. And the work of humanitarian organizations is not integrated and is not enough to meet the needs of 1 million people trapped and stuck inside Deir al-Balah, which is only 15 square kilometers. The full capacity of Deir al-Balah is about 70,000 people maximum, you know. So when you put 1 million people in such only 15 square kilometers, then what would you expect? Look at the streets. They are filled with sewage. They are filled with diseases. Look at people. They walk barefoot because sandals and boots are very expensive and they cannot afford. These are the aspects we want people to understand. It's not all about the casualties that reach Al-Aqsa, the hospitals. It's not all about the bombings. This goes beyond the levels of understanding what what genocide literally means, because Israel wants to really, really, execute us all, and wants to, even if they have the ability to prevent oxygen, Israel would do it for Palestinians. It's not an Israel-Hamas war. It's a genocide. It's a full extermination of the Palestinian existence on earth, and that's what Israel is pushing to do. So it's never been a Hamas-Israel war, because if it's a Hamas-Israel war, why have you killed 14,000 children in Gaza? These are the questions that people need to understand. This is the life we are going through. Sometimes I go with myself and try to think about my life. I dream to be a student. We are a people, the core difference, as I've always said it, the core difference between us and the whole world is that we are dreaming to live while the whole world are living to dream. Now, our ultimate dream is just a cup of clean water or a calm life, or we want just one moment of drones not hovering over us. We just want one moment where I can go and play some football with my friends. I just want one moment to watch a football Premier League match in England between like Liverpool or Chelsea. These are the details that we are yearning for, that we have missed so incredibly much. We used to go to restaurants and everything. That doesn't mean at the same time that our life before October the 7th was that nice. No, it was not, because we were besieged by a highly imposed, strictly imposed Israeli siege on us for 17 years since 2006. I was myself denied many educational opportunities abroad because of the Israeli occupation and siege on Gaza. It is too much insanity, but because our life has gone to the worst unimaginable levels, we are yearning for the life we were living before October the 7th. We are yearning for the least we can. And when you compare that you are yearning and longing for something that is not like any other humans around the world, this is not humanity. This is not you are a human. People here need to understand, need to realize that Palestinians have always been marginalized and ostracized and looked at with disdain. But this is a fact, and this is a result and consequence of the Western world's racism and discrimination and double standards. Because I'm a football journalist, I dream of being a football journalist. If you look at it, FIFA has not even yet banned Israel from all international football activities. But when it came to Russia, 3 days after the incidents, they banned Russia. Every time FIFA postpones the FIFA Council, more players are being killed, more sports facilities are being destroyed, more fans are also being murdered. It's enough. Until when? That goes beyond what we do as journalists.
All right, we seem to have lost Abubaker again, but I think we're going to leave it on that note. I think he's painting a really, really bleak picture, and this interview was important for me so that people don't forget. We're approaching almost a year of this ongoing genocide, and it seems to be just getting worse, and it's starting to feel like the rest of the world is becoming desensitized to it, starting to feel like a lot of us are moving on with our lives. You don't see the protests as much as you used to. You don't see the social media campaigns educating and letting people know, which products to boycott. What means can you go about holding your government accountable for their inactions when it comes to, holding Israel accountable for this ongoing genocide. So this was very important. Unfortunately, we have lost Abdul Rahman, but I think we'll be keeping in contact with him, and I hope and I pray that he is safe. And because we've spoken to a lot of people, a lot of journalists, and then you might find after a few days or after a week that you've spoken to them, they've lost their lives. So I think a really insightful interview, and unfortunately we've lost them again. But I think we've gotten as much as we can from that. We're going to leave it here for now.